Good morning, everyone. I'm Mark Auerbach. This is ArtsBeat TV and radio on 89.5 FM WSKB and Comcast 15 in Westfield, Massachusetts. We got two guests today. Their voices are going to be familiar to you because both of them are on WSKB. Jay Pagluca, who always is on Friday mornings before me.
Good morning.
Good morning. And Patrick Berry, who used to have his own Westfield News show on Thursdays, and he and I have co-hosted WSKB ArtsBeat programs from the Berkshire Theater Group and Theater Works. And
we've had a lot of fun on those road shows.
We sure have, and one of these days I'm going to get you on a road show again.
Absolutely. All you need to do is ask, my friend.
Okay, so the reason these two guys are here, on either side of me is they're doing something that Westfield will really like. It's a new program called Gaslight Entertainment, and it's a Westfield concert series. What made you guys come up with this idea?
So Jay and I, for many years, have had this concept of how do we maintain the momentum of the summer happenings in downtown Westfield after Labor Day, between Labor Day and Memorial Day. And Jay's idea had always been concerts. Jay's a music guy. And so we had the conversation of, okay, how do we start this concert series? And that's where it began. And then in earnest last Christmas, beginning of this year.
It was early in the year, yeah.
2019. We created an LLC, we got the ball rolling, and here we are just, what are we, a week or 2 weeks out from our first show, Friday, November 8th. We're really excited about it. Great national acts coming through Westfield for the first time ever on a regularly scheduled basis.
And how often will you be doing these programs?
Well, we're going to start the weekend of November 8th, and we're going to do a weekend at a time, a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We're going to skip December because, well, everybody's too busy in December. So then we'll go January through May, one weekend each month. And there's a couple reasons for that. Number one is we move PA and lighting in for one weekend at a time, and we get 3 shows done and move it all out again. From a logistics, for my favorite thing to do, which is lighting and PA, that makes sense. But really, we're going to be putting different genres of music in each weekend. So it's not like a weekend of rock and roll. It's going to be like a rock and roll, then a country act, and then something,
blues.
Maybe some, you will find something for everyone in this series. And I think if you take a look at it, take a look at what we have in the lineup, I'm sure you'll find something you'll want to go to, hopefully more than one.
Let's come back to the lineup in a minute, but why produce a series like this in Westfield? I mean, there is, to me, the arts are good for business and business is good for the arts, but there is a music series and a theater program that already takes place at Westfield State University, but not that many people in the public know about it. And there's the community theater group that performs. But by you doing this, won't that bring more people into Westfield, and won't it have a spin-off on the restaurants? And
Mark, you've hit the nail on the head. And in my prior life as being the owner of the Westfield News and Jay's prior life of being president of Westfield on Weekends, we've seen it for a number of years. Westfield is growing, and it's growing because of the arts and entertainment in town. Westfield on Weekends has evolved into a force of entertainment on the greens. Artworks Westfield does a lot of the little pop-up art events in town. We think this just complements all of that. And the economy of Westfield should grow from that. We'll be bringing in, 800 to 1,000 people every weekend to Westfield from the Pioneer Valley between Hartford and Greenfield. The restaurants should benefit from it. The bars should benefit from it. Hopefully new places will open, maybe some retailers. So we recognize that Westfield has been on the cusp of growing. And and Jay, correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm speaking out of turn, but I think this is the logical next step for Westfield to have a consistent music scene or spoken word scene, whatever, as we grow and expand our lineup.
I think you're exactly right. Looking at what has become, the last 5 years in the summer has just exploded. As you said, all the little artsy things that we're doing downtown, I'm proud to say I was part of it for a little while, and very pleased to be able to grow that beyond, to kind of round out the year. We don't want to just roll up the sidewalks in the fall. There's things to do in the winter, and it's beautiful out here. So,
and unfortunately, that's been the thought of most people is the sidewalks get rolled up in September and they get laid back down in May for the summer concerts. But WOW was bringing thousands, literally. Some of these concerts were 4,000 to 5,000 people on a Thursday night on the green.
You're exactly right. Yeah. So we know there is a market for it, if we bring some acts that you don't normally see here in Western Massachusetts, or that aren't easy to see, our audience is not going to be just Westfield. We're expecting it to be all over greater Westfield. We're going to reach out to Western Mass, the greater Western Mass area, over the line into Connecticut. We hope to see a lot of people come from that have not even been to the city before.
And I think it's possible because for years, the Springfield Symphony did the Summer Pop series at Stanley Park, and they were drawing 10,000 people and up to a concert. And these people were coming from Hartford and the Berkshires and Northampton and things like that. I think that if there's something out there that people want to see, they'll travel a little bit. And Westfield is maybe 25 minutes from Hartford and Springfield, Northampton, and Lee.
And we're seeing a lot of acts come out, and the MGMs, the bigger shows. You're paying $200, $300 more for a show. We don't want things to get out of reach of people. So we want to keep it. We want to keep it affordable price.
Now, Jay, how did you get into the whole music thing? Because you've been doing it for so long.
I've always loved music. Now I go back, way back when I was born. I remember my first Doors song. No, it's going back to really when I was in high school. Started getting into the DJ thing, and I remember.
Now, were you in an AV program?
Oh yeah, I was an AV.
So that's where it
geek.
starts.
Yeah,
right
AV
here at Westfield
Club.
Tech Academy.
Yeah. And I love doing that. Anything to do with music, that could make good music sound good for the masses. I guess maybe that's the way to put it. I was involved in it somehow, somewhere, and I started in junior high and then grew that in high school. But then started getting involved with a singing group when I was in high school that was on the road. So now the art of picking up a show, moving it, setting it up, doing the show, striking it, getting on the bus and going home was all of a sudden I found my niche. I found something I loved doing. And that's kind of grown because I've always had some hand in PA or bands, whether it's in clubs or bigger shows since then, mostly on a volunteer basis. We don't expect to make any money on this. We want to grow the business. We want to grow the brand that we have built here as Gaslight Entertainment, and we want that to be that. The best satisfaction I could get is a couple of years from now, people go, Gaslight Entertainment. Whoa, they got some pretty good music, pretty good shows.
Mark, you touched on something earlier, too, about, things that are happening in Springfield or Northampton. We think this complements all of that. Just gives people another option of entertainment. I want to say virtually every one of 17 of the 18 shows we have this year are not regular performers in Western Mass. One of them is Robbie Fulks, who has an amazing following. But so 17 of the 18 shows are performers that you would not normally see in Western Mass.
Backtracking before we go through some of the lineup of the programs that we're going to have, how did you get into this?
Jay, quite frankly, Jay and I first met when I was owner of the Westfield News, and Jay was at WOW, and I love music. Who doesn't love music? And I have always agreed with Jay on the fact that Westfield needs this. The Westfield area, from an economic standpoint, could benefit from something like this. And with my business background, Jay's music background, and technical background, it was a natural marriage for the two of us to get together to do this. So, we have every confidence in the world that this will do well, and people will recognize, as Jay said, Gaslight puts on a good set of shows.
And do you think that the Westfield community will support this? It's creating a niche that isn't here. But And
Well, it's
people-
not necessarily the Westfield community either. As Jay pointed to earlier, we're really looking for the Hartford to Greenfield, the Pittsfield to Munson, the whole Route 91 corridor. We figured, and Jay and I have met a ton of people in the last 6-9 months as we've put this together, and many of those people have been very informative and given us information, and they said you're looking at a 50-mile radius. So even though Westfield is 42,000 people, you add in Southwick and the hill towns, you might get to 70,000-80,000 people. But the greater Springfield area, Hartford to Greenfield, is a couple 100,000.
And the venue we're putting this in is not big. It's a small venue, 250, maybe 300 people if we do a standing room show. So if to those of you that don't know, it's the Westfield Women's Club right downtown Westfield. And it's a classic building. It's 100 years old, 100 and something years old.
Yeah. Actually,
And
1919, 100 years old.
is it 100
Yeah.
years old? Okay. And it's a beautiful little theater, and it's where the Westfield Theater Group works and does their shows. So we're kind of sharing it with them, and
Which is why we're taking December off, because the Westfield Theater Group
They
has
have
their
a big
annual
show
Christmas
there.
show in December.
and actually it's going to be fun because there are some shows where you might see some of their sets. We're working
in it,
around
right,
their
exactly.
sets, and I mean the character of that might be kind of fun to work
Right.
with. Yeah.
The two of you announced this maybe a month ago.
Not even. It's only been a couple weeks.
Yeah.
But, it got immediate play in the local media. It seems that the press is excited about it. And when I happen to tell people that I know you guys because we sit behind radio mics frequently, and I tell them about what it is that you're trying to do, they get really ramped up about it.
And again, I think it gained traction because it's unique to Westfield. And again, Westfield has never had a consistent concert series of this caliber. So I think a lot of the media has recognized that, and nothing against MGM or the group, what is it, IHEG out of Iron Horse Entertainment
Iron
Group
Horse
out of
in
Northampton. Nothing against
right.
either of those. But this side of the river, this part of the Pioneer Valley hasn't had anything like that. I mean, East Hampton has a great music scene. I don't know if I'd call it underground music scene, but it's got a great music scene.
But that's only emerged in the last 15 years.
Exactly.
And look what it's done for the restaurants in East Hampton
Bingo.
and the fact that people now want to live there.
Right.
And Northampton, I guess, for years has been known as an arts town. Nationally, people go there because of the concert halls and the restaurants.
Oh, I was
and
working
show-
up there 30 years ago, and it's great. Of course, it has the college town. It's got a very young and vibrant.
And but
people up
Westfield
there.
is a
Yeah.
college town. We've got
And
university.
yes.
And if you kind of go back over the course of the last 10 years, all the infrastructure changes that Westfield's gone through to create a vibrancy to town. We've got a rail trail that's 90% done.
That's gonna
You've
be
got
fun.
Westfield on weekends. You've got artworks. You've got the Westfield Theater Group. You've got all these different elements that are helping Westfield grow, and we just think this is one more of those.
Yeah. How did you get the name Gaslight Entertainment? I know that when you ran and owned the Westfield News, you said to me, this is the Gaslight section of town. Was
Exactly.
that what motivated you?
Yeah, and we wanted something different. Everything in
Everything's
Westfield is Whip City something. And as much as I love the history of why that is, let's find something different. And Patrick said Gaslight Entertainment. I'm going, that's it.
Yeah.
There was nowhere further to go. I said, you hit it just right.
So when we were creating the series, we were looking at where to host it, and there were a couple of options in the city, but ideally we wanted to keep it downtown, close to the Gaslight District, and so that the bars and restaurants and retailers could benefit from it. The Women's Club is right next to the Gaslight District. It's perfect.
Yeah, and I mean, what's the perfect world is when I win the lottery last week. No, then yeah, we build that theater, but we couldn't build it. So what's the next best thing? What's the next best thing is you find an existing venue, and the Women's Club was just screaming at us. We walked up and down the street, don't even give it a second look, and all of a sudden,
Wait a minute.
it might be that.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
I would be remiss if I didn't thank the board of the Westfield Women's Club because they have gone above and beyond to help Jay and I get this off the ground. They were extremely welcoming to us to put the concert series in their venue in downtown. They've been great. The board there has just been phenomenal, and we can't thank them enough.
No, it's going to be a lot of fun. So
Do either of you know, was there ever a cultural history of Westfield? I mean, Springfield Symphony Hall dates back over 100 years, and the Paramount Theater in Springfield was producing live shows from the 1920s. Did Westfield have theaters or movie houses or anything like that?
Well, you know what? That's a Bruce Cordes question if I've ever heard one. Bruce is kind of the local historian here, and Bruce is probably listening to this. I think there was, at some points in time, there was certainly the Park Theater, the Strand Theater. I believe the
Now,
Strand was
where were
movie
those?
theaters. The
Yeah.
Park may have, before talkies, I guess, may have been stage performances. I don't know.
do you know where they were here in town? Do you remember?
No.
Not that I remember. I got to straighten that out right now. I'm not as old as Bob Plass, but no. One of those theaters was down on Arnold Street, not Arnold Street, but down on School Street, not far from the bistro, the School Street Bistro. The building I don't think exists anymore, but and I can't remember which was which. Park and Strand, and
the Strand was basically right behind Wings Over Westfield on Church Street.
It was okay, and then Park was what is now, if you look at Rockies to the left of that, that was a theater building right there.
Exactly.
And I know they were both big movie houses. I don't know that they had a stage for plays
like
or
the
anything
Paramount
like
was in
that.
Springfield.
Yeah.
Right.
We know that Jay got involved in music starting in high school, and you always liked music. But when did you realize that music or the arts could have an economic benefit on the city? Was that when you came to Westfield to run the paper?
Absolutely. I learned during my 8 years of running the Westfield News how much the arts industry is changing local communities across the country. It's sad to say, retail isn't what it once was. You know, look at the malls. They're not there. Everybody shops online. So, and there's been a lot of research put forward about what do small communities how do small communities benefit moving forward, and all of that is live entertainment. So whether it's music, spoken word, movies, whatever it might be, it's something you can't do online. Is really how these communities are surviving. East Hampton's a perfect example. An old mill town that has reinvented itself, great cafes, great underground music scene, and now it's a destination for residents. That's how Westfield's going to survive, is arts and entertainment. It's an incredible part of the new economy, and if you don't recognize that and don't embrace it, you're going to be left behind.
It's things to do. It's not buying something, because, as you say, you can do that online. It's things to do. How do I go out? I want to go to downtown and do something. Whether it's entertainment or recreation or something. So that's what's going to bring the excitement back.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, Sean Farley from the Fine Arts Center at UMass was a guest on a previous program, and before that, Rob Ruggiero and Tanisha Dugan from TheaterWorks in Hartford. And they said the arts are something you can watch a film or a movie or a TV thing on your tablet or on your phone, but there's the interaction that you get going to live music or live theater that you can't replicate technology-wise.
It's an excitement. It's a room full of people that are there for the same reason, and there's a vibe, there's an excitement that comes with that. And in back in my days of the old the old concerts of the old days, we used to hold Bic lighters up, and there was something.
Now there's an app for that.
Now there's an app with that. I'm not sure I like that, but that's just me.
To your point, Mark, I can sit there and I can pull up a YouTube video of any performance, and it's neat. Kind of gets the juices flowing. But when you're standing there watching these people perform live, it takes you emotionally to a whole nother level. There's nothing compares to that. I always get mesmerized by the skill of these performers. I don't care whether it's U2 on a national stage or watching Harry Rock or John Adams, local guys performing, the skill these human beings have to make music, it's mind-boggling to me. So it's really an emotional attachment when you sit there in a small venue like this, because it will be intimate. You will be, a couple of arms lengths from the performers, which is fantastic. Which again is different from watching at Gillette or Mass Mutual Center.
That's sure. And I remember maybe 3 or 4 years ago, the Westfield News Group sponsored an opera event at Symphony Hall. It was a salute to Leontine Price, and we all went together, and we were seated like in the 4th or 5th row.
Oh, my
and
God.
that opera singer was right out there. You could reach out.
Yeah.
It was an amazing thing that you could never experience on TV.
Well, and thanks to you, all your work through ArtsBeat with the Westfield News Group, you opened my eyes to a lot of the regional theater, which I kind of knew it was there, but never really experienced it until I met you. Recently we were just down at Goodspeed Opera House to see Billy Elliot, and again, these are small venues where you are right there. You're part of the action. Berkshire Theater Group, UMass Fine Arts Center, Hartford Stage Theater Works, all these places which are again within 40-minute drive of Westfield, and they draw from everywhere. You're immersed in the entertainment, and that's what Jay and I hope to bring to the Women's Club. You're there. It's the maximum capacity we have is 300 people. So you're there. I mean, think about 300 people in a small venue. You're right there. It's going to be fantastic.
So what are some of as you were putting together this program of the series of music groups, what were some of the group? Did you have a theme in mind in putting it together, or were you trying to pull different musical genres? How did it come to be?
One of my favorite things in recent years has been bringing in working with high-end tribute bands. In fact, what got me involved in that was, it's got to be almost 10 years ago when my daughter was playing flute with Pat Kennedy over at the Westfield High School. And we all got, I was on the parents' committee there to help raise funds for the band, and it was always selling band candy or band pies or band fruit or band something in order to raise money.
Popcorn, whatever.
Yeah,
right.
Whatever.
and by the time you're done going to your neighbors and your relatives, they don't want to see you coming anymore. So Pat was approached by someone with an idea. Yeah, Pat Kennedy, was approached by someone who wanted to bring a tribute band in, teach the kids some music so that they could actually back up that band. And in this case, it was Beatlemania Stage Show. In fact, that same show is coming to the Westfield High School at the end of January, and we can talk about that a little more later. But so here's Beatlemania. Kids know the music. 50 years later, the kids know and love Beatles music.
It's instrumental, so Pat Kennedy teaches those songs too.
Yes.
So they know it even more so. And to see those kids back up Beatlemania was, the entire auditorium was on their feet when those Westfield High School band students came out and backed them up.
Yeah. So all of a sudden, I'm like, there's something that I had not been familiar with. And since then, I've worked with this same promoter, Paul LaCoco, all over southern New England, doing benefits for high schools all over the place. We've worked for Eagle Mania. We've worked with Tusk, which is a Fleetwood Mac show.
Chicago.
Yeah. I'm working with, I'm out in Plymouth, Massachusetts, with Foreigner's Journey, which is exactly what it says. Half the show is Foreigner, half is Journey. Right. But these are tribute bands that are wonderful. That got me going, okay, if we were to bring some high-end tribute bands like that, mix them up with some original artists, some local countries that are artists that are coming up, we could have one heck of a series. And if you look at the lineup, that's kind of what we've got. Yeah. And we're opening on November 8th with
less than a week away.
With Carole King, which is
Carole King.
Yeah, Home Again is a tribute to Carole King.
Well, I got to say that I saw the musical Beautiful, which is the life and times of Carole King, using music from her catalog last winter at the Bushnell, and I remember the Tapestry album and everything that it was, but
yeah.
I could go back and listen to Carole King music again and again and again.
Oh, absolutely.
We're going to take a little break here to acknowledge the underwriters who provide the support for Artsbeat Radio and all the other good programming, including yours, Jay, on Friday mornings here on WSKB and Westfield's Community Television 15 on Comcast. Our engineer today is Peter Coles, and we'll be back after we acknowledge those underwriters.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Dunkin' Donuts shops of Westfield and the Sardinia family. It's nice to know that even as the world changes, Dunkin' Coffee remains the same at 7 convenient locations throughout Westfield.
Underwriting for Community Radio on WSKB is brought to you in part by Rockies. Over 30 convenient locations throughout Massachusetts, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, Connecticut, and Florida. One of the nation's largest ACE dealers. Expertise and great product selection in paint, hardware, lawn and garden. That's Rockies. Rock solid service since 1926. On the web at rockies.com. Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Comcast and Xfinity.com. Offering Xfinity TV, Internet, home phone, and home security services. Information on all that Xfinity has to offer in the Westfield area is available online at xfinity.com.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Bay State Dental. Comprehensive dentistry at 14 convenient locations in Springfield, Chicopee, Longmeadow, West Springfield, Belchertown, East Longmeadow, Ludlow, Northampton, Greenfield, and Wilbraham, as well as 29 Broad Street in Westfield. Bay State Dental makes it a priority to help you achieve and maintain the healthy smile you deserve. On the web at baystatedental.com.
Wednesday mornings from 6 till 8, it's Tina Gorman with Wake Up Wednesday.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Mark Auerbach. This is Artsbeat Radio and Television here on 89.5 FM WSKB and Comcast Channel 15 in Westfield. If you miss a portion of the show and you want to catch up on what you missed, the show will be posted to the WSKB Community Radio channel on YouTube. So if you're really enjoying this and you need to play it over and over and over again, you can download it and enjoy us at your leisure. Or you can't. It's up to you. I got Patrick Barry and Jay Pagluca here. Both of them are familiar voices because we've all been on WSKB Radio. Jay's show precedes mine on Friday mornings, and Patrick had the Westfield News Show and has come back time and time again to co-host Artsbeat on the Road when we've worked with the Capitol Steps and the Berkshire Theater Group and TheaterWorks in Hartford. And these two gentlemen are putting together Gaslight Entertainment, putting together a Westfield concert series. Right before we went to the break, we talked a little bit about Carole King and Beautiful, and what are some of the other acts that you have coming?
And to get the entire list, you can either follow us on Facebook under Gaslight Entertainment or on our website, westfieldconcerts.com. So opening weekend, which is coming up within the next week or two, Friday, November 8th, Saturday, November 9th, and Sunday, November 10th. So Friday night is the Carole King tribute called Home Again. Saturday night is an up-and-coming country star called Adam Wakefield. Really looking forward to him. And then on Sunday is, as Jay pointed to earlier, a band called The Weaklings. They do Beatles and Beatles-esque type music, which is fantastic. Coming up in January, because we're taking December off because of the Westfield Theater Group presentation. Kick, which is In Excess. Remember Michael Hutchence from the 80s. Unfortunately, he passed away. And then after that is Saturday night, January 11th, Great Blues by James Montgomery. And then on Sunday, January 12th, Porter Carroll, which is sort of a crooner, which is, sort of the Dean Martin, Frank Sinatra type old school Harry Connick Jr., Michael Bublé sort of crooner. That's going to be nice.
And there's a connection with him back to the 70s. He was the drummer for Hall & Oates. And
Really?
Yep.
Look at
And
that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, there was another. I off the top of my head I can't remember because I saw it on his website. Oh, Atlantic Starr. He was part of Atlantic Starr back in the 70s as well.
Neat.
So that it is kind of cool. But
Right.
but you're
I
right.
didn't
The
know
voice. Oh, the voice is
great.
phenomenal.
And then in February, we've got 2 back-to-back, Friday, February 7th, Saturday, February 8th. These 2 tribute bands are playing on the national sort of upsurgence of their performers. So Friday the 7th is Starman, which is a David Bowie tribute, David Bowie is hot right now. Unfortunately, he's not around. And then on February 8th is something called 33 1/3 Live, Killer Queen Experience, which is Freddie Mercury and Queen. So again, back-to-back great rock and roll shows. Sunday, February 9th, we're still up in the air on that, but we're trying to book another country star for that night. You get into March, Screaming Orphans on Friday the 13th, which is, Jay, you know of these guys. I don't.
I've worked with them a couple of times. These are sisters from Donegal, Ireland. And
Just in time for St. Patrick's
Just
Day.
in time for St. Patrick's Day. I actually worked with them the past 2 years at the Scottish Festival up in Look Park. So that's how I got to know them. And they are a hoot. They're a lot of fun. And it is just classic Irish fare.
Folk rock, right?
And they actually put a spin on a couple of good old American tunes too,
Nice,
which
nice.
is quite unexpected.
So that's Friday, March 13th. Saturday, March 14th is a band, different genre called ska, a band called El Grande out of Boston.
They're actually Portland, Maine.
Oh, Portland, Maine. Excuse me.
And that's a cross between Jamaican reggae and kind of punk rock, believe it or not. It's an interesting mix. I thought it was just going to be a young genre,
Right.
or a young demographic, but I'm finding that people in 20s, 30s they're loving this stuff.
Ooh, I'm dying to see them because
Yeah.
it sounds interesting. And then wrapping up that weekend is Robbie Fulks. Great folk. His last name is Fulks, Fulks, but he's a folk singer. So, and then April 24th, Friday night, April 24th, nationally recognized Roomful of Blues is coming to Westfield. Saturday, April 25th, that one's open, but we're working on another country star. And then Sunday, April 26th, the Carpenters, Mark.
My fave,
There you go, Karen Carpenter. And what was her brother's name?
Richard.
Richard. Okay.
Karen and Richard.
So, a Carpenters tribute is April 26th, and then the last weekend of the series for this season is Friday, May 8th, which is a show called Invincible, which is a Pat Benatar tribute.
That'll be fun.
Exactly. They're coming out of Ohio,
Yep.
if I recall correctly. Saturday, May 9th is Black Lilies, a rock band. We're really looking forward to those guys. And then on Sunday, May 10th is Personal Touch, and Jay, you know more about them.
Right, and that's a Motown. I want to say I'm trying to remember the way he described it. It's Motown, but it's just some great guys playing music that they love from the 60s and 70s. So it's some great voices. Yeah.
One of the best things about this series, Mark, though, is Jay and I, we're very, not to sound arrogant, but we're pretty well connected here in the town, and we want to give back. So part of what we're doing, too, is we're providing local musicians the opportunity to be the 30-minute opener for all these nationally recognized bands. So we're excited that opening weekend, Friday night opening for Carole King Tribute is Kitty and the Beard. They're a local band here in Westfield. Saturday night opening for Adam Wakefield is going to be Brian Chicoine. Again, very well recognized in the local area. And then Sunday, we can't announce it yet, but It's going to be another great local one. He hasn't
7.
committed yet, but
Yeah.
everybody knows this guy.
We haven't signed for a lot of these, so we've got to be careful what we say. But you can be sure that the beginning of the shows we're going to have a wonderful kickoff. Oh, and got to thank our friends at the tavern. One of the things that people were asking was, can we have beer and wine at the show? And our friends at the tavern, a well-known downtown restaurants, agreed to work with us so that we were able to work with the licensing commission.
Yep.
And yes, it's above boards, Mr. Westfield, but the licensing commission worked with us to help us get there. So beer and wine will be available. This is going to be a great series.
Now, you're telling people to buy tickets in advance, right?
Please, yes.
WestfieldConcerts.com.
Okay, so they can buy them online. And do you think you'll have tickets at the door?
Depends on hopefully not. Hopefully every show sells out, Mark. But yeah, and quite frankly, we joke about that, but it depends. I mean, ticket sales are already brisk for the opening weekend, so we hope not, but you never know. I mean, if
it's sold out, the
Right.
website will say so.
Exactly.
So unless the website says sold out, like next week,
Right.
no, but truly we encourage you to go online. Don't miss out. If you see a show out there that you're sure you want to go to, buy the tickets now. You can
Don't wait.
Yeah, buy them now. Get them online. Get the tickets in your hand because, as we said, there's only about 200 to 300 people in the.
Depending on the show, like for example, like the Carole King Tribute Home Again, that will be a seated event. So there are 244 physical seats within the women's club. That's a seated event. But a show like In Excess, we're going to remove the seats on the main floor, and it will be standing room only, so people can dance. It would be like a rock show. But depending on which event it is, it'll either be some standing room and so some seated events. The balcony is always seated. Those seats are mounted, and I don't think the women's club would appreciate us unmounting them.
Probably not.
But yeah, depending on the event, it'll be either fully seated or half and half.
Now, Patrick, you had told me when we went off on one of our theater jaunts that you're hoping that volunteers come on board to do all kinds of stuff. If somebody's interested in volunteering to work behind the scenes or something like that, who do they contact?
They can either, if they know Jay or I personally, contact us via our cell or our email, info@, WestfieldConcerts.com. You can just email us. But we have a ton of volunteers, people who just are like Jay and I. They want to see this succeed, and we've got ticket sellers, security, people for the green room. One of the other things that I've talked to Principal Joe Langone about at Westfield Technical Academy is how do we get these students involved? Because here at the Westfield Technical Academy they have a culinary program. Well, maybe some students want to get involved in managing the green room for the artists. That means picking up meals, making sure water and beverages are stocked, snacks are stocked. So it's a different take on culinary, but it's more of the hospitality management. There's also Pete Cole's program, which is the AV side of it. Well, maybe they want to come in and help Jay, and Kenny Stomsky is helping us too, and Pete, help us as roadies, run this line, set up that speaker, set up that light, whatever it may be. I leave the technical stuff to Jay. I might be talking on a line. But so we want to partner with the local schools, the local kids. We're partnering with the tavern. We're partnering with Jerome's Party Plus. I mean, we're making these partnerships locally to ensure that this is successful.
One of the things we need to do for bands, and learned this a long time ago, you take care of the talent, and they'll want to come back to your venue.
Of course.
So I've been to both sides. I've worked in places that you're lucky to have a closet to sit in before the show. On the other hand, it really is kind of stressful. These guys travel some hours and hours to get there. They show up, they load their gear in, we do a sound check, and then relax, get something to eat, and they're going to do a better show. They really are. The show is going to be great.
When you mentioned them help the kids from Westfield Technical Academy helping with the green room, it brings me back to my days when at New England Public Radio, I was responsible for the special events series, and the contract riders that some of these groups or individuals had was just overwhelming. And there was a Cape Verdean singer, Cesaria Evora was her name, and her contract rider for food needs for her people was just phenomenal, and no caterer wanted to handle it. And we finally found a caterer. She wanted Cape Verdean foods, and nobody either knew how to make them or wanted to. We finally got somebody to do it.
Import them? You didn't jump on a plane and fly there and grab the.
We should have.
And brought it back.
But I mean,
I would have volunteered for that.
The rider was like 3 pages long of food needs, and we finally got all the food assembled. And she and her troop stopped at McDonald's because they wanted American food. So what do you do? What do you do with 30 pounds of boiled pork and cabbage and things like that? And the homeless shelters didn't want the food.
That's funny.
Some of those riders are. I heard that the Rolling Stones, you have to take out the yellow M&Ms.
Right. Oh, yeah. There's these stories all along. And it's interesting because I was looking at, and I shared this with Jay, I was looking at a very well-known national act.
That you wanted right away.
I really wanted these people there, and I can't tell you who it is, but their rider.
They wanted.
Oh my God! You had to pay for airfare. You had to pay for 5-star accommodations, limousine to and from everything. We jokingly say, no brown M&Ms or yellow. I mean, they had all these weird things in there, and that stuff adds to the cost. So as much as the band cost was manageable. When you add in all those other things, Jay and I looked at
that.
Jay and I looked at it and we said, all right, this is now $125, $140 per ticket. Do we want to do that?
Yeah, no.
But you guys are keeping your ticket prices on the low side. I mean, so
anywhere between $20 and $50.
Yeah, so it's affordable for 2 people to go out.
Absolutely.
And it's just you don't pay to park around there at night.
Nope.
But you would assume that these people are going to either buy a drink while they're at the concert, or they're going to go eat at one of the neighboring restaurants.
Exactly.
But they can still have an evening on the town and not have to take
not
out a
break the
loan.
bank.
Exactly. And if you think about it, all the downtown restaurants that are within close proximity to the women's club, all reasonably priced, good food. You've got a variety. You've got from Vietnamese to Italian to American fare to Tex-Mex. You've got every conceivable type of food in downtown Westfield that you'd want. And then you're if you want to imbibe in something, there's plenty of places to do that as well.
Yeah. So we just want to provide the good excuse to come on downtown. Right.
And that's exactly it. If you are coming to a show, please, 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 folks, go support one of the local downtown merchants, whether it's buying a drink or buying a book. Just take a moment to walk Elm Street and support some of the downtown
What's
people.
Been cool in the past few summers, we talked about summers, and it has been growing. It's just the traffic downtown's been growing, and it is refreshing to see that. And so that downtown, you come on down early before the show. Our show's on, by the way, on Friday and Saturday nights will be at 7 o'clock. And then on Sundays will be earlier. We're going to start the show at 4 o'clock,
right.
So you can come in and maybe have dinner after that.
And we already checked the Patriots schedule. There are no Patriots games on Sunday, November 10th.
Glad you did. I forgot to do that.
And in January, it all depends on the playoff schedule.
Well, all right.
And then we're not playing on Super Bowl Sunday.
Okay, of course not.
Right.
Yeah.
So, because we all want to watch the Patriots. Boom, boom. One of the things that was Jay and I were approached about too was food trucks, because that's the big thing now. Do food trucks. 2 reasons we're not doing food trucks. Number 1, we want people to sample the downtown places. Go to the fully established places. That first and foremost. The second thing is, it's a winter concert series, so you're going to stand in line for the fried dough guy in January when it's 2 degrees.
Yeah, I mean, I would stand in line in front of a fried dough truck almost any time of year, except when it's below 50 degrees.
You know?
I think it's going to be it's just, we want it to be fun, and we're looking for your feedback.
Absolutely.
If you're looking for something, if you want to see something that you don't ever see in this area, drop us a line, as long as it's affordable.
So thinking about the next year, so fall of 2020, a year from now, through spring of 2021. I mean, we're booked this current year, but we've got. I just got approached the other day about a Bon Jovi tribute band, and we've got a number of options out there that want to play the second season. So we're really looking forward to it. Just we need the support.
Yeah. I know that, Jay, you've been involved in the music business behind the scenes for a long time.
And that's only because I can't sing and I can't play an instrument. Nobody wants to listen.
So you won't be an opening act.
No.
I didn't think so. What's the most exciting part about starting a venture like this for you?
Honestly, I'm gonna say the same thing that probably every artist in the world says, is there's something about the applause at the end. If you get to the end of that show and people are on their feet, my goodness, that's just, it's, even if I'm behind them and I'm the guy that's turning the stage lights on, I'm like, we did a good job.
Yep.
And it takes a full team. There's an old joke going around that your ticket doesn't pay for the guy you're seeing on stage. It pays for the setup and the tear down, and because that's where most of the work is. But the person on stage, the performer, that's a lifetime of practice to get there. So all we're doing is supporting them. And if we can do that and make them look good and sound good, we win.
Right.
So your gratification from it is the applause at the end of the show and people being really ramped up.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what about you? Patrick, you're sort of a newbie you're a music and arts aficionado, but you're kind of a newbie in the producing thing. What do you think will be your gauge for, like, this is really great?
If people come out, quite frankly, and I stated earlier, I learned a lot owning the Westfield News. And what I learned is Westfield is growing. So, and I truly and wholeheartedly believe that this is one rung in the ladder of making Westfield successful. And if people come out and support it, that's what it's all about. This is the second business I've ever owned, and this is a partnership with Jay. The Westfield News was a single member LLC. Owning a small business, I never did it before. I love it. It's fantastic. The challenges, the fear of the unknown is always there, but it's wonderful. It's a rush. And with the Westfield News, I was, what's the word I'm looking for? I was energized every day when people would come up and say, I love that article you did. I love having my subscription. Your carrier is great. I love the way she or he writes or the way my ad came out. That's all, reassuring to me. And this is going to be if people show up, and to Jay's point, at the end of the night, people are on their feet applauding, then it's successful.
I think you'll find, at least from my experience of producing events and Jay's, the applause is something that when you hear it, you did something right.
Well, the times that I've been to concerts myself, or you and I have been to the theater, I love that standing ovation at the end, just to get up, show your appreciation for the performers, like Jay said, all the people behind the scenes that do that stuff. It's a great feeling. You can't get that sitting in your living room watching a TV.
No, you can't. Well, you can stand up and dance around, but people are going to think you're weird.
Well, yeah, then your spouse looks at you kind of going, what the hell is wrong with you?
Yeah, she does that anyway.
What's wrong with this?
Put your pants on.
No.
Okay, before we wrap this up, I'll give people again how they get information and how they buy their tickets.
Well, Gaslight Entertainment is an entity on Facebook right now, and you can see all our schedules there. That will link to our website, which is westfieldconcerts.com.
And if you Google Gaslight Entertainment, it redirects, I believe, to Westfield
does it?
Concerts.
Okay,
Yep.
good. So we're still working that one, but westfieldconcerts.com is where you're going to go to see the lineup, get more information about the venue, and you can buy tickets right there. And we encourage you, again, don't miss out. Buy tickets now.
Absolutely.
Well, Jay Pagluca and Patrick Berry, I'm personally very excited for both of you to start this, because I think it's important for Westfield, and I know both of you so well from us all doing radio and other media together. I hope it's a real big success.
That makes three of us.
And
Thank you,
I
Mark.
hope you'll come back to Artspeed again after a couple of shows and or under your belt, and let us know what some of the additional programs.
We'd love to. Yeah, let's. We'll plan something in January. Yeah.
Because one of the things Jay and I are trying to do is, as we mentioned along the show, is Friday nights at 7, Saturday nights at 7, Sunday nights at 4. So there's a Saturday afternoon opening. So we've rented the Women's Club the entire weekend. So we're trying to think, is there something we can do Saturday afternoons? One of the things that was very successful throughout the course of Westfield celebrating its 350th birthday was the lecture series that the Historical Commission wants to continue, but that's going to be continued at the First Congregational Church in downtown. Again, capitalizing on the people's interest in live performance and live talks. So what we're trying to figure out is, what can we do on Saturday afternoons? That's our struggle.
Haven't decided yet.
Yeah.
But it's
Right.
It opens possibilities.
We thought of showing movies, but the cost was too prohibitive between getting the rights to movies and then how much do you charge? You want to make it reasonable, so you want to, if a family wants to come down and watch the SpongeBob movie, you don't want to have to charge $20 a head. But, so we're trying to figure out, maybe there are free events we can do, a speaker series or, some sort of something. So we're still trying to figure out how to fill some of the time we have.
And I think that you'll get feedback from people in the community that'll say, what about this?
Absolutely.
Or somebody who has made it in music or theater or something who's from the community say, I want to come back and home and do something.
Right.
You know?
Absolutely, yeah. And if you think about it, one of the things that we weren't able to get this year that we're working on for next year is, think about, there are quite a few well-known musicians and performing acts, either from Westfield or from the immediate area. Stained, John Wysocki and that group, Aaron Lewis, they're all from here. Yeah. The Guthrie family, Arlo Guthrie, Annie Guthrie. Actually, it just dawned on me. Annie Guthrie is opening for one of our shows. Arlo's daughter. James Taylor. I mean, there's a wealth of things from this area that we would love to have.
They live just down the road.
Right.
Why don't you come visit? Just
Right.
bring your guitar.
Well, when
We'll
you
be
think
happy.
when you think about it, one of the reasons when we all talk about the creative economy and how good it is for the communities that have it, like East Hampton, Northampton, and what have you, and definitely the Berkshires, it means that artists want to live here,
right?
Because they can work here, they'll find opportunities. So this could open up a lot of doors for people who either got their start locally or live in the area but travel elsewhere to produce their music and their art. It opens up an opportunity for them to come home.
One of the things that has been in the back of my head is partnerships with some of the area theaters, whether it's UMass Fine Arts Center, Berkshire Theater Group, Hartford Stage, those sort of venues and those communities. Maybe it's a Saturday afternoon live read to help cross-promote what's going on those stages in the area.
If one of us win, we all win.
Exactly.
I've always looked at any organization as, we're not competition. And when I was with Westfield on Weekends and Artworks was just starting up, I embraced that in a heartbeat because I knew they wanted to do stuff that Westfield on Weekends couldn't do. So what does that do to Westfield? It gives more options.
It's interesting. Not long after I took over the newspaper, the Westfield News, I had a conversation with then Senator Mike Knappich. And he informed me, he said, people at the State House recognize the 10 and 202 corridor, which runs right through the center of Westfield. He said it's an important economic piece to Western Massachusetts' success. This is just one element of that. And I give kudos to MGM. A report came out back in the middle of October about the economic impact MGM has had to every single county in Massachusetts. Think of that. Every county. Barnstable, everything out east, Bristol County, Hampden County, Franklin County. So that is one element of the success of Western Mass. If Gaslight Entertainment and Westfield Concerts can add a little bit to that, I'm happy.
What's our success? If one artist comes in who's just coming up in the business, and I find out in 10 years that they are now a national act.
That happened with a Westfield on Weekends concert.
Yeah. Yes, it did.
A number of those up-and-comers. Absolutely.
Those are the kind of things that we go, Holy cow.
Yep.
That's cool.
Well, gentlemen, we're out of time. Best of luck to both of you. I'm going to be following this on a regular basis and might even get myself to Westfield to one of.
Maybe we can get you into one of the shows, Mark.
I
I'll
don't.
give you a deal on tickets. I'll give you the senior price.
I'll slap you afterwards. Anyway, you're listening to Arts Beat Radio and TV. My guests today have been Patrick Barry and JPEG Luca from Gaslight Entertainment, who are launching a major music series in Westfield starting in November. It goes through the winter months and into the spring, and we look forward to hearing more about it. Thank you to the folks at Westfield Technical Academy for the Studio 120 and the students of Westfield Technical Academy who are learning the ropes of radio, TV, and broadcasting by working with us. Our chief engineer today is Peter Coles. I'm Mark Auerbach, and we'll see you next Friday at 8 a.m. for another edition of Arts Beat TV and Radio. Thanks for watching.
You got to get up every morning with a smile on your face and show the world of the love in your heart. And people are gonna treat you better. You're gonna find, yes you will, that you're beautiful as you feel. Waiting at the station with the workday wind blowing, and I got nothing to do but watch the passers-by. Mirrored in their faces I see frustration growing, and they don't see it showing. Why do I? You got to get up every morning with a smile on your face and show the world all the love in your heart. The people gonna treat you better. You're gonna find, yes you will, that you're beautiful, so beautiful as you feel. I have often asked myself the reason for the sadness in the world where tears are just